Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Ardis, host of the Dr. Ardis Show, and this is a very special podcast, and we're going to be discussing what are the natural remedies and solutions for the flu during the flu season. This is being recorded in the winter of 2025, December to be exact. And every year you're told this is the annual flu season, so I figured I might as well let you guys know what is the truth about the proven in medical research studies antidotes to the flu. We're going to share with you several key vitamins, several key minerals, and a specific herb that has been proven to make your immune system mightily more effective at reversing, preventing, detoxing, and overcoming the flu symptoms that just wreak havoc on so many people every year. All right, so let's dive into the natural solutions of the flu. I hope you all had a great holiday season for Thanksgiving. Moving into Christmas time now. Whenever you're watching this at any point in your life, in any part of the year, I hope, as this is being recorded in the first week of December 2025, this currently happens to be every year a week titled National Flu Vaccine Awareness Week. So because there is going to be nonstop pummeling of a narrative about the health benefits of the flu vaccine, and they're going to make sure that's in a national holiday week every year. First week of December is National Flu Vaccine Awareness Week. Doesn't matter when you're watching this. There's information you need to know about the flu. You also should know what medical research and science has already proven over decades are effective nutrients that you can supplement. Very simple things you can implement every single day to ensure you overcome the flu, are able to powerfully defend your body against the flu if you are presented with the flu. All right, so let's dive in. This is actual PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to walk you through the medical research, what it is medicine traditionally wants you to know about the flu, what you need to know about the most common prescriptions they prescribe for the flu, what vaccines they offer for the flu. You might be shocked to find out all of you are told to get a flu vaccine every year starting at 6 months old. Every senior citizen is told to get it every year of their life. Did you know there's 256 different brand name flu vaccines? I wonder which one is right for you. All right, so there's some things you just don't know about the flu. We're going to hopefully educate you and inspire you to know you don't have to be afraid of the flu. This thing really wrecks your life for 7 to 10 days for a lot of people, and it doesn't have to. So I'm going to dive into the research here. Remember, this is a PowerPoint also that you can download for free at the resources tab at the Dr. Ardis Show. Just go download the PowerPoint, share it with all of your loved ones, friends, whatever. I show you what works. I show you what the dangers are of certain things recommended that are prescription. I'm going to show you those and highlight those things that you may not know. So to help you navigate the flu season, this is everything you need to know about natural solutions to the flu. Here is the PowerPoint. We're going to dive into this. I'm thrilled and honored to be here with you today. So let's learn together what it is you need to know about the flu. All right, remember you can scan this QR code and you can actually put in your email and you will get notified for every weekly podcast that I do. And I generally do one a week on a health topic that's either in the media as a hot topic or generally just a health topic. So scan that QR code, put your email in now, and we'll notify you when the next podcast is coming out. All right, so let's learn from the medical profession. Let's pick on Cleveland Clinic. This is the Cleveland Clinic. What is the flu? Flu is short for influenza. The flu is a common respiratory illness you get from the influenza virus. Now, to remind everybody what a virus is, in case you don't have a clear definition, this is a Latin to English dictionary, copyrighted 1811. I have them back to 1700s, all the way through the 2000s. The word virus is a Latin word, and to remind all of the audiences here, in case you haven't heard this yet, the actual definition of the word virus that is used throughout medicine, throughout healthcare, throughout the media, the word virus has one singular forever definition. The word virus means a poison, comma, especially of snake's venom, or the word virus simply means venom. So these are poisons that are obviously spread around the world to make us sick, and whatever poisons are being circulated around the world to create flu viral seasons Just know that's what it is. So they're telling you the flu is a common respiratory illness you get from the influenza virus. Well, this is a poison or a venom. Symptoms often include fever, headache, and body aches, coughing, and a stuffy or runny nose. I'm very familiar with these symptoms. You, most likely at some point in your life, have had the flu also, and it sucks. Especially day 4 and 5. It feels like every part of your body wants to die. It's awful. You're at a risk for serious complications if you have an underlying health condition or are pregnant. Getting vaccinated every year is the best way to avoid getting sick with the flu. No, it isn't. That is not true. This is what the medical profession and the Cleveland Clinic wants you to believe. That is not the best way to avoid getting sick every year from the flu by a long shot. All right, so what are some common symptoms of the flu? Now, this is a chart from the Cleveland Clinic, and it is showing you symptoms that are actually correlated with COVID-19, the cold, and the flu. We're just going to focus on the flu. The flu includes commonly sore throat, cough, sneezing, fever, body aches, feeling tired and fatigued, headaches, runny nose, stuffy nose, and shortness of breath. So those are your common flu-like symptoms. All right. When is flu season? Per the Cleveland Clinic, still, flu season, when cases of flu go up dramatically in the northern hemisphere, which includes the U.S., is October through May. The highest number of cases, or that peak, usually happens between December and February. How common is the flu? The flu is one of the most common infectious diseases every flu season. About 20 to 40 million people in the U.S. catch the flu. Who is at the highest risk for developing infections from the flu? Those they want you to know are those of you, pay attention, those of you who are more prone to getting a flu infection would be those with asthma or COPD or any chronic lung disease, or have a history of kidney, liver, neurological, heart, or blood vessel disease, including strokes. Those who have conditions that cause issues with muscle function, think Parkinson's and gait issues, that make it difficult to cough, swallow, or clear fluids from your lungs or airways. Have diabetes, have a weakened immune system from HIV, AIDS, or immunosuppressive drugs. If you are on steroid drugs like prednisone, cortisone, if you're on those are immune suppressants. That's what they are by category. They suppress your immune system. You are more likely to get the flu every year. Or you have a blood disorder they mentioned, like sickle cell disease, have a BMI greater than 30, meaning you have obesity, you are more prone to get the flu. Are under 5 years old or over 65 years old, their favorite ages for vaccinating you every year, are under 5 years old or over 65. Okay, that isn't true either. Don't worry. Are pregnant, are under 19 years old and take aspirin regularly, or live in a long-term care facility. You know, it's very common in a long-term health facility. Immunosuppressant drugs, therefore, you're all more prone to getting infections. How many people die from the flu each year? Cleveland Clinic reports, in a typical flu season in the U.S., it's estimated that between 20,000 and 50,000 people die every year from the flu, and another 300,000 to 500,000 require hospitalization for serious illness. Stop there. I'm going to have a dialogue here, so just bear with me a second. I just want you looking at me. The number they give you is 30 to 50,000 people every year die of the flu in America. That is a flat out lie. 1,000% lie. And it has been known to me to be a lie since the early 2000s. So what you all don't know most likely is that the CDC, called the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC produces a document. It used to be every year they would produce this annual report called the Morbidity and Mortality Report from the CDC. And anybody could download it, anybody could access it, anybody could print it out, and you could go through all the reasons anybody got a disease or died this year in America. The CDC put this together every single year. Now in 2011, 2010, somewhere in that range, the CDC got wise and realized that lots of people were downloading that and seeing a summary of an annual report on all reasons why people died. They were creating this, and it was getting people's attention, including mine. Every single year, I would print out that entire annual report. It gives you every reason anyone died that year. The CDC does not create an annual morbidity or mortality report anymore. They don't do that. They do it weekly. Do you want to know why they do it weekly? Because one, it would be really annoying to every person in America to go download 52 reports, which is how many weeks are there in a year. So they stopped doing the annual report, which just was one, and it would give you all the information you needed. Now they only provide a weekly report, and you would have to actually print out all of those 52 reports, add up every single individual report to get an annual summary of why everybody died in America. What you would learn if you do that, though, is was there ever in an annual collection summary of every reason why everybody died in America, never on any of those reports did it ever exist 30,000 to 50,000 people died of the flu in those annual reports from the CDC. Ever, 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 ever. What you should all know is that the morbidity and mortality report, the first part of the report gives categories of diseases. And it would say, for example, respiratory illnesses, and it would give you your total. And it would say 500,000 people died from respiratory diseases. And in that category would include the flu, pneumonia, RSV, you name it. So any respiratory illnesses. And they would give you that total. That is the total that the Cleveland Clinic I just showed you is reporting are the numbers of death of the flu every year. It includes pneumonia. It includes RSV. These are not the flu. When you go farther into the annual CDC's old reports for morbidity and mortality for all Americans and why they died, when you would go from the initial part of the report, which told you the sum of all respiratory causes of death in America, in the back half of that report is when they break down every single respiratory illness in those categories and all categories. So when you get to the flu section of the respiratory category in the back of the book, never, ever, ever did I ever see more up until 2009 as they were allowing me to print out these annual reports. Never once did I ever see more than 24 people died in America from the flu in a given year. All of these numbers, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 people died of the flu, 300,000 to 500,000 end up in the hospital. These are the pneumonia numbers. They are not the flu numbers. You are all being lied to. And every year they're allowed to lie because the CDC in the beginning of their morbidity and mortality report categorize causes of death scenarios. And respiratory illness is what they're reporting to you are the numbers from the CDC representing flu deaths. It is not. It represents pneumonia, RSV, and the flu all combined. And 99% of all of those deaths are pneumonia, not the flu. And yet every child is told based on these numbers, every young parent is told, your 6-month-old baby. And every year of the rest of its life living on this earth in America, if it walks on American soil, you have to get a flu shot every year of your life until they die. That is the recommendation. And they tell you and scare the crap out of you and tell you 30 to 50,000 people die every year from the flu. No, they don't. You have been lied to. They have figured out in data in that book, that published morbidity and mortality report. If you go week by week now, which they offer them only weekly, go start downloading the CDC morbidity and mortality report every week and start adding up flu deaths you see in the back of that book, not in the beginning of that printout. Those are categories. So you'll see, for example, in the beginning of the morbidity and mortality report, heart disease. And they will have 5 million people died last year of heart disease. But when you go into the farther into that report, they break it down. High blood pressure, aneurysms, myocarditis, tachycardia, AFib, congestive heart failure, atrial fibrillary block, AV block. I mean, they name all kinds of stuff. Then you figure out how many people actually die of those individual different designated cardiovascular diseases. They lie to you to get you to sign up for a flu vaccine by telling you a number that represents primarily pneumonia in the category of respiratory illnesses that cause death. They don't produce that annual report anymore. I continue to try to look for it since 2010, and I can't get it. They only do weekly reports. That was to make it harder for you to see the whole truth. You now have to add it up yourself. They're not going to do it for you. Anyway, just needed to make sure you saw that. All right, so These numbers are not accurate. You've been lied to. Go download the morbidity and mortality report every week. Look at the flu numbers on page like 117 of that 170-page report and tell me 20,000 to 50,000 people die this year or next year. Show me those numbers. They tell you that it's number every single year. It isn't true. I'm really sorry. They use those numbers to lie to you. And this is very common in medical data and research studies. They will use algorithms, calculations to manipulate. They'll even just lie to you, which is what they're doing here with the flu. All right, estimated number of influenza cases in the United States from 2011 to 2024. And you will see the numbers there, number of cases in the millions. Now, this is people that have the flu. They tell you 30 to 50,000 every year die from the flu. Those are incorrect, lying numbers. But there's your numbers. What medications treat the flu? These are antiviral drugs they use for influenza. Tamiflu is the first one. Tamiflu's generic name is oseltamivir phosphate. You take it by pill or a liquid. Usually take it for several days. That's Tamiflu. Generic name, oseltamivir phosphate. Relenza is another drug. That's the brand name drug. Zanamivir is the generic name. You breathe this in through your mouth with an inhaler. It's recommended for people with breathing issues like asthma or COPD. You'll see Paramivir, which is Rapivap, and then which is the brand name. And then you'll see Zofluza, which is the generic name, Baloxavir, Marboxil. And you take that by pill or liquid also, just like with Tamiflu. The CDC tells you, preventing the seasonal flu. These are the steps you have to take in order to avoid getting the flu every year. Take time to get a flu vaccine. It's the very first thing. Everyone 6 months or older should get a flu vaccine every season, every year, especially people at higher risk. Okay. CDC recommends a yearly flu vaccine as the first and most important action in reducing your risk of flu and its potentially serious outcomes. I wonder who owns the CDC. For 2025 to 2026 flu season, CDC recommends the seasonal flu vaccine for children, pregnant women, and adults with only single-dose formulations of flu vaccines, not multi-dosed, and those they say that are free of thimerosal, which is mercury. Remember all those years you were told flu vaccines and all vaccines don't have mercury? Mercury is thimerosal. There are still flu vaccines that have thimerosal in them. Flu vaccination also has been shown to reduce the severity of illness in people who get vaccinated but still get sick. Oh my God, did you read that? The CDC says flu vaccination has also been shown to reduce the severity of your illness, flu illness, in people who get vaccinated but still get the flu. Just so you know, there's no guarantee you won't get the flu if you get the flu shot, and they're telling you. But some people will get the flu vaccine, but they're still going to feel better than if they didn't, even if they get the flu. Oh my God, what a great lie. They did that with COVID too. Remember that? All flu vaccines are designed to protect against 3 influenza viruses. Vaccine virus section for this season's vaccine composition. All right. So there's multiple viruses they're telling you they're making vaccines for. Everyone 6 months and older should get an annual flu vaccine. Notice their recommendations for preventing the flu only includes one thing. Make sure you get a flu shot. As if God forgot to give you an immune system. And all you evolutionists out there, I guess you evolved to be the most advanced species on the planet, except you can never beat the flu. You never had an immune system that produced antibodies against a seasonal virus every year. Evolutionists should be the most pissed. I thought we were the most advanced organism on the planet. We just forgot how to beat bird viruses, snake viruses, pangolin viruses, monkey viruses like HIV. We have no idea how to defend against those. We just need vaccines and drugs. Okay, evolved immune system. Flu vaccine. This is per the Fox News. Flu vaccine is linked to higher infections. What? Says early research. Notice the date, by the way. This is only 3 months ago, August 2025. Did you know that flu vaccines were linked to higher flu infection rates? The flu vaccine. A new study from the Cleveland Clinic suggests that it might not have the protective effects people expect. No kidding. The preprint study, which was published on medrxiv.org this week, looked at infection data from 2024 to 2025 flu season. Researchers found that among 53,000 Cleveland Clinic employees in Northern Ohio, getting the flu vaccine was associated with a 27% increase in flu infections. Ask your doctor if the flu vaccine is right for you. If you want to get the flu, it probably is. If you want to increase your risk of getting the flu, you should get a flu vaccine. In fact, my wife, Jane, has gotten 2 flu shots in her entire life. Once when she was 18 and once when she went to kindergarten, first grade, actually. Do you know she's only had the flu twice in her whole life? And it was when she went to first grade and got the flu shot, and when she went to college and got a flu shot. Those are the only 2 flu shots she ever got, and she got the flu both times. Ask your doctor if the flu is right for you during the flu season. What are you being prescribed, everybody? We showed you Tamiflu. This is Tamiflu. Tamiflu is an antiviral medication that blocks the actions of influenza viruses types A and B in your body, they say. This is per drugs.com. Tamiflu is used to treat flu symptoms caused by the influenza virus in people and have had symptoms for less than 2 days. So if you've been sick for 3 days, don't go to your doctor to get Tamiflu. This medicine may also be given to prevent influenza in people who may be exposed but not yet have symptoms. Okay, so now all of you that are asymptomatic and don't even know if you're sick, you can go get Tamiflu for preventative reasons. Tamiflu will not treat the common cold, is what they want you to know. What are some of the side effects of the most commonly prescribed prescription for the flu, Tamiflu? Nervous system. Did you know that up to 17% of all people in the clinical trials for Tamiflu, experienced headaches from Tamiflu? Did you see here that after it got approved by the FDA and went to market, after it went to market and medical doctors started prescribing it, after the trials were over and all the data was collected, seizures and convulsions as a result of Tamiflu have consistently been reported back to the FDA, the CDC, and the drug manufacturer of Tamiflu. Tamiflu causes some people to experience seizures and convulsions since medical doctors started prescribing it and the FDA approved it. Drugs.com also reports that pseudomembranous colitis, so inflammation of your stomach, hemorrhagic colitis, meaning you're bleeding out in your stomach, these are all published side effects after Tamiflu was FDA approved. So gastrointestinal bleeding, hemorrhagic colitis, and you'll see there's pseudomembranous colitis, bleeding out in your intestines. Ask your doctor if bleeding ulcers are right for you when they prescribe Tamiflu. Respiratory disease. Did you know that Tamiflu increases your risk? Up to 10% of people, 1 in 10 on Tamiflu, will develop nasal congestion. That's a flu symptom, by the way. They will develop a cough from Tamiflu. That's a flu symptom. They'll develop sore throats. Oh my God, that's a common symptom of the flu. Did you know Tamiflu creates what looks like the flu? Bronchitis, nasopharyngitis, upper respiratory tract infections. Oh my God, that's the flu. Look at this. Up to 10% of people will develop the flu from Tamiflu. It says it right there. 10% of all people, 1 in 10 will develop the flu from Tamiflu. Not from the flu. Tamiflu will give you the flu. Ask your doctor if the flu is right for you when you're prescribing Tamiflu. Rhinorrhea, runny nose, that's a flu symptom. Sinusitis, infection, pain in your sinuses. Okay. Oh, wait, look at this. After the human trials, when they figured out up to 10% of people will get the flu from Tamiflu in the clinical trials of the drug, they say here, after the FDA approved it, and there's no more data being collected by the researchers in the clinical trials with humans, it is now reported that Tamiflu will cause some people to develop pneumonia. Pneumonia is way deadlier than the flu, people, by like 1,000%. Let's look at psychiatric. I think this is important that you know this stuff when they prescribe to you Tamiflu for the flu, the most common prescribed drug for the flu. Did you know it can give you the flu? I was shocked to learn this. Let's look at psychiatric side effects of Tamiflu. Up to 10% of all people will develop insomnia from Tamiflu. You won't be able to sleep all night. Well, what did you learn from your mama? What's the folk remedy for illness of any kind, including the flu? Sleep, rest. Okay, now you can't sleep because of Tamiflu. 1 in 10 people cannot sleep now. They're insomniacs. Sleep boosts the immune system and helps you defend against infections. That's when your immune system kicks up, is while you're at rest. But look at psychiatric other side effects reported after the FDA approved Tamiflu and millions of medical doctors started prescribing Tamiflu. Abnormal behavior from Tamiflu, delirium from Tamiflu, altered level of consciousness. Listen, people, there's only 2 levels of consciousness per the medical profession. You're either conscious or unconscious. So you're in a coma. Tamiflu makes you unconscious, in a coma. confusion, delusions. You know what delusions are? Did you know Tamiflu can make you have delusions and hallucinations? Look at it on the screen. This is from drugs.com. This is known by the FDA. Tamiflu makes you have delusions and hallucinations. Do you know what's the only mental disease in the world that has both of those? Delusions and hallucinations. Hallucinations are you see things that aren't real. They're not there. Delusions are grandioso ideas that are threatening. There are people conspiring to kill you, destroy you, ruin you, and your reputation. Yeah, that's delusions. Schizophrenia is the only mental illness that has both of these. Tamiflu causes schizophrenia. Ask your doctor if schizophrenic delusions and hallucinations are right for you because it's published to be caused by Tamiflu, not the flu. Tamiflu. Anxiety, nightmares, self-injury. Oh my God, self-harm, self-injury is a side effect of Tamiflu. All right, let's look at the skin. Did you know herpes simplex virus, cold sores, fever, blisters is in 10% of all people, Tamiflu will cause you to develop herpes. You know what I was always told? That it's usually a grandma or an aunt, somebody in your family is kissing you when you're a baby. When they have a cold sore, fever, blister on their mouth, they're kissing you as a baby, and that's how you got herpes. Cold sores, fever, blisters for the rest of your life. Did you know Tamiflu in 1 in 10 people is published in the clinical trials to make the person develop cold sores and fever blisters called herpes simplex virus? Ask your doctor if herpes are right for you when they prescribe Tamiflu. 1 in 10 will develop it. Now, I know it sounds like I'm being harsh on Tamiflu. This is the number one prescribed thing for the flu every year outside of flu vaccines. I haven't even got to the flu vaccines yet. But the antidotes, the natural solutions to the flu I'm about to give you, they have none of these side effects. Zero. And they're more efficacious than drugs and vaccines. I'm about to show you. It's amazing. All right. Other common side effects of Tamiflu. Influenza-like illness in up to 10% of all people. Oh my God, seriously? Doc, I think I have the flu. You do have the flu. Here's a prescription for Tamiflu that can also cause you to have influenza-like symptoms. What? Oh my God. So if you start taking Tamiflu and you start feeling worse, it's because of Tamiflu, people. What about malaise, sepsis? Did you know sepsis is a reported side effect of Tamiflu? Facial edema. Who doesn't want their face to swell up and look like the moon and be sick with the flu? Conjunctivitis in up to 10% of all people. That's pink eye. It's caused by Tamiflu. Did you all know Tamiflu causes pink eye? How many children and adults are taking Tamiflu every year for the flu, develop pink eye, go back to the doctor, and they're prescribed a new antibiotic that has nothing to do with it. It was just Tamiflu did it. This is Relenza. Zanamivir is its generic name. You can see it on the right there. This is the second most prescribed drug for the flu, over-the-counter prescription. Sorry, not over-the-counter, a prescription. Relenza is an antiviral medicine that blocks the action of viruses in your body. Remember, what is the definition of a virus? A virus is a poison, especially of snake's venom, or it just means venom. Relenza is used to treat flu symptoms caused by the influenza poison in people who have had symptoms for less than 2 days. So again, this is only good for those who are really sick short term. Let's look at their side effects. This should shock you. All of you out there that have been prescribed Relenza for the flu, looking for your medical doctor to write a prescription for you for the flu because you don't feel good. 10% of you, respiratory-wise, we start it for you. This is a very common side effect of Relenza. Relenza causes this, not the flu. Relenza, the drug, causes 19% of all people to experience throat and tonsil discomfort and pain. A sore throat is a symptom of the flu, but 20% will also get it from just Relenza. 17% of you will develop a cough from Relenza, not the flu. Viral respiratory infections in 13% of people were created by Relenza, not the flu, but you were given Relenza for the flu. Nasal signs and symptoms, runny nose, 12% of you develop that from Relenza, not the flu. So imagine having the flu, getting a prescription for a drug you think is going to help you improve your symptoms, and you're continuing to have flu-like symptoms that are being created by the drug they gave you. Doesn't that suck? Now they go to a less common category, but it's still common, but not as common as very common. So up to 10% of all people in the clinical trials for Relenza with humans They developed sinusitis, sinus pain from Relenza. They developed bronchitis from Relenza for the flu. Go figure. Is the flu and bronchitis better than just having the flu? Ask your doctor if bronchitis and the flu is better than just having the flu. Ear, nose, and throat infections from Relenza. Oh my God, seriously? Is this making you excited to have your doctor write a prescription for Relenza this flu season? Nasal inflammation, sore throat, nose, you name it. After the FDA approved Relenza, knowing all of this crap that I just read off to you, after the FDA approves it, medical doctors around the country start prescribing Relenza. This is what's being reported back to the FDA by the medical doctors who are prescribing Relenza, that Relenza is causing their patients to experience asthma for the first time ever, exacerbation of asthma, respiratory arrest. What? You can't breathe? You need to go on a vent? Lung tightness, decline in lung function. Who thinks decline in lung function is an improvement for a respiratory virus like the flu? Throat tightness and constriction. Ask your doctor if respiratory arrest, worsening asthma, new asthma, lung tightness, or decline in lung function is right for you when they prescribe Relenza. I don't think that's going to improve your respiratory illness symptoms. So ridiculous. Musculoskeletal pain. Up to 10% of all people will experience musculoskeletal pain throughout their body from Relenza when they prescribe it for the flu. Remember, this is still about the flu. More exciting side effects. 10% or more of all people on Relenza in the very common category. 24% of all people will experience headaches. That's 1 in 4 will experience migraines on top of their flipping flu symptoms. I don't know about you, but I had the flu once and every joint in my body hurt. Why would I want my head to be pounding at the same time? 1 in 4 will experience headaches from that. After the FDA approved it and it went to market and everybody started prescribing it to you for the flu, seizures was the first thing being reported back to the FDA were side effects of the patients being prescribed Relenza. Syncope, that's passing out, fainting, is another one, going unconscious. 1 in 10 will experience malaise, fatigue, temperature regulation disturbances, fevers, and chills. That's a symptom of the flu. They give you Relenza. They know Relenza in healthy people in the clinical trials made them have fever and chills like they had the flu. Skin conditions, serious cutaneous reactions, and you see their names down there. Toxic epidermal necrolysis, death of your topical skin. Urticaria, little red rashes all over your body. Yeah, okay. Let's look at some more of these. This is Relenza still. Hypersensitivity, allergic reactions are obviously common. Psychiatric, after the FDA approved it, delirium, altered levels of consciousness. Remember, you're only conscious or unconscious, so Relenza has put some people into a coma, medically induced coma. Confusion, abnormal behavior, delusions and hallucinations. This is schizophrenia again. Ask your doctor if schizophrenic-like symptoms are right for you. Anxiety and nightmares. Yeah, nightmares will be better while you're having the flu and trying to sleep all day, get rest to recover. Nightmares always make your sleep better. Gastrointestinal. 1 in 10 will develop diarrhea from Relenza, vomiting, nausea, and vomiting. Oh, that's great. Those are all symptoms of the flu. Ask your doctor if vomiting is even more better for you when you have the flu. Another 10% will develop anorexic-like symptoms from Relenza, increased or decreased appetite, feeding problems, they call it. Look at this. Did you know that Relenza was published to cause acute renal failure? Ask your doctor if acute renal failure is right for you when they prescribe Relenza. All right, these are some of the problems with the most commonly prescribed drugs. And if you remember the CDC, I already showed you, the CDC recommends the flu vaccines as the #1 precaution for everybody to prevent and reduce the effects of the flu every year. Well, this is the influenza virus vaccine. And look at all the brand names. We highlighted them and we drew an arrow there for you. Because on drugs.com, it says, if you click here, where it says show all 265 brands of flu vaccines, did you know there were 265 brands of vaccines? And did you know they're all different in their ingredients? Do you know what all the ingredients are in 256 different vaccines? Does your medical doctor or pediatrician, do they know there's 265 different brands? Do you know which brands they have? Do you know what ingredients are in those? Can your doctor even explain to you any? Can your doctor tell you the names of the 265 different brands? And if you can't do that, do you think he can tell you or she can tell you what are any 3, 5, 7 ingredients in any of them off the top of their head that they're trying to convince you is right for you to beat the flu? All right, perdrugs.com. What is the influenza virus vaccine? Influenza virus vaccine is for use in adults and children to prevent infection caused by the influenza virus. This vaccine helps your body develop immunity to the disease, but will not treat an active infection you already have. The injectable influenza virus vaccine, or the flu shot, is made from killed viruses. We put a question mark there for you because the definition of a virus is a poison or venom. Is there such thing as a dead poison or a dead venom? No. So, what is a killed virus? Do you know what it is? Ask your doctor what a killed virus is. Like any vaccine, influenza virus vaccine may not provide protection from the disease in every person. I starred that for you because if you think for a second that the medical community and your doctor thinks that the flu vaccine is an absolute bulletproof vest for you to avoid getting the flu this year, you are mistaken. They know the vaccines aren't a sure way to prevent the flu. They even tell you, like any vaccine, influenza virus vaccine may not provide protection from the flu in every person. Look at the first three words in that statement, like any vaccine. That means they know that HIV vaccines do not prevent HIV in all people. They know the polio vaccines does not prevent polio in all people vaccinated. They know the MMR vaccine does not prevent measles, mumps, and rubella in all people. They know that the pneumonia vaccines do not prevent pneumonia in all the people that get those vaccines. They know the COVID-19 vaccines do not provide prevention and protection to all people from COVID-19. They know the vaccines do not provide absolute protection against the infections they're telling you you cannot keep your job without getting. Imagine this, all hospital workers in America. You're told you have to have the flu shot or you have to wear a mask every year during the flu season. The whole period on all of your shifts. They tell you have to get the flu vaccine or wear that mask or you can't keep your job. Did you know the flu vaccine does not guarantee that you're not going to get the flu? And they know it. Did you know that's true for all vaccines? Well, why in the world do we love vaccines so much if they actually don't provide the protection, like the body of armor you've been convinced that it provides? Just remember, this is the insanity of this. You have to get vaccines every year of your life while you're on this earth. But the flu vaccines that you are told you need to get every year of your life do not provide absolute protection from the flu. Oh my God, then why do I have to get it? Isn't that weird? And then why do all your family members get mad at you if you're saying no to the vaccines if they don't guarantee protection? Why do they think it guarantees protection? All right, so just know the flu vaccines, they tell you, the medical profession tells you, and they know it does not guarantee protection. You're still going to get the flu. I just told you my wife got it the 2 times she got the flu vaccine. She got the flu shot both times. She'll never get another one. Has never got one since college. And that was decades ago, and she's never gotten the flu ever since. Influenza virus vaccine and activated side effects. The dead virus side effects. All right, here we go. Flu vaccines have cardiovascular common side effects. 1 in 10 will experience chest tightness. You will feel like you're having a heart attack from the flu vaccine. Frequency not reported. This means this is being reported by the medical doctors who are giving the flu vaccines after the FDA approved it and after it was in clinical trials. Myocarditis is a published side effect of the flu vaccines from MDs giving their patients the flu shots. Myocarditis, death of heart muscle, that it has a 50% death rate in 5 years. Ask your doctor if heart death is right for you. Facial swelling in up to 10% of all people who get the flu vaccine. Cellulitis-like reactions. Oh my God, that is horrible. Terribly painful. Angioedema, swelling of the face, generalized rash. Those are all your different skin reactions. GI symptoms. 24% of all of you will develop diarrhea. 1 in 4 that get the flu vaccine will have diarrhea. 14% will develop vomiting from the vaccine. 11% of you will develop nausea. Hypersensitivities, your allergic reactions, anaphylactic shock after the FDA approved it has been reported in many people. Serum sickness, serum sickness is literally a described symptom to venom poisoning from a snake bite after antivenom has been administered. When the antivenom to a snake bite is administered, serum sickness happens 5 to 14 days after the antivenom is actually provided and administered. Antivenom to snake bites Albert Calmet in the 1880s, who developed antivenom therapy for snake bites, described serum sickness as the primary side effect, blood sickness as the primary side effect of antivenom in the 1880s. Do you know what one of those published symptoms that he described for the first time ever in developing antivenom to snake bites, which is what a vaccine is, by the way, when he invented antivenom, this injection, he described serum sickness. And in serum sickness, days 5 to 14 after injecting antivenom, myocarditis he described for the first time ever as a word. Myocarditis, written by Albert Calmet, describing serum sickness symptoms after antivenom administration. Myocarditis. Myo means muscle in Latin. Cardia means heart. Itis, inflammation of heart muscle. Immune symptom side effects of the flu vaccines includes influenza B vaccine infection, vaccine failure, they call it. So if you get a flu shot, you might still get influenza B infection. 23% of people, or sorry, not 23%, 32% of all people, 1 in 3 will develop a loss of appetite and eating habit changes in 1 in 5 from the flu vaccine. So when you get the flu shots, just watch the people around you who are getting them or yourself. And if you're having any of these issues, you now know why. It wasn't from the flu. It's from the flu vaccine. The 265 of them. Local, very common, 10% or more people will experience injection site tenderness. Obviously, that's 90% of you are having a needle shot in your arm. Yeah, it's going to hurt. Injection site pain up to 65%. Swelling, 64% where it was injected. Itching, 30%. Injection site induration, 19%. Bruising, hematoma, 17%. Just know, they know this is going to happen. You have a needle stuck inside of you. Of course it's going to happen. Musculoskeletal. This is in the very common category. 37% of everybody who got a flu vaccine develops musculoskeletal pain throughout their body, like fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis. Muscle aches, up to 30% of you. 1 in 3, get a flu shot. You'll get body pain all over. Arthralgia, joint pain, 13% of you. Just from the flu vaccine. Not from the flu. The preventative agent for the flu. Respiratory side effects of flu vaccines. Up to 11% will experience rhinorrhea, runny nose. 10% of you will develop a cough from the flu vaccine. Oh, thanks a lot. That's amazing. Another 10% will experience 1 in 10 croup infections, nasal congestion, sore throat, upper respiratory infection or congestion, pharyngeal pain, throat pain, oropharyngeal pain, mouth and throat pain. These are all symptoms of the flu, by the way. You're going to get the flu vaccines, you're going to feel like you got the flu. Bronchitis, pneumonia, pulmonary congestion, shortness of breath. Yeah, you're welcome. Ocular, eye problems from the flu vaccines, reddened eyes, conjunctivitis, we already discussed that. They called it during the study. 10% of people got red eyes. After medical doctors started prescribing it, they were like, that's conjunctivitis. It's called pink eye. That's why you're seeing it reported after the FDA approved it. So if you want pink eye, get a flu shot. 1 in 10. Psychiatric irritability, up to 54% of you become emotionally irritable. Children, you'll have abnormal crying in 41% of you. The nervous system from flu vaccines, drowsiness and up to 37%, sleepiness and 35% of you from the flu vaccine, headaches and up to 30% of you. Who doesn't love headaches? Anything that increases your risk of developing head pain has to be top of your list, something you want to accomplish every day of your living life. Most of the senses of your body, vision, smell, taste, hearing, are in your head. When people have headaches, your whole life sucks. Sound suck, light suck, smell, taste suck, everything sucks. Headaches suck. Look at this. Did you know that febrile seizures are a known side effect of flu vaccines? Ask your pediatrician if febrile seizures are right for your child when they offer a flu vaccine. Pain and up to 60% of everybody. Malaise, fatigue, 22%. Malaise, 38%. Now, we're going to keep going here. 10% of people will develop ear infections, which is called otitis media. Influenza-like illness from the flu vaccine. What? 10%, 1 in 10. Fever, pyrexia. It's fever. Did you know that after the FDA approved it, medical doctors have reported that when they gave a flu vaccine to their patients, they died? So now the FDA knows that death is a published side effect of the flu vaccine. Ask your doctor if death is right for you. You know, when you're dead, I guess you don't feel sick. So maybe that is something the medical profession would recommend if you have the flu. Doesn't it suck to be sick? It'd be better if you're dead. All right, so those are just some of the side effects. I didn't even show you that 6% of all flu vaccines ever given in history cause what's called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is modern day polio, a paralyzed leg, paralyzed same side arm later, paralyzed face, half of that same side of the body that's been paralyzed. That is Guillain-Barré syndrome. 6% of all flu vaccine recipients develop Guillain-Barré syndrome, which can be permanent for life for many, and for some it goes away on its own within a 1 to 2 year period. Ask your doctor if half of your body being paralyzed for any period is better than having the flu. All right, now what do I recommend for the flu? None of that crap that I just showed you. All right, so let's dive into the nutritional stuff because I like medical research. I find it helpful because they actually do good work and they actually prove just how incredible nature is, which is why our brand of supplements is called Nature Wins. Every drug, by the way, was made as a synthetic version of something found in nature that already worked, and they wanted to patent it and profit off of you. So they had to patent it, own it, because they can't own nature. All right, so here we go. Let's dive into nature. Nigella sativa oil, black cumin seed oil, which is found in our biodefense product as a natural remedy against viruses. All viruses, what was the definition of viruses? Poisons, venoms, whatever you want to believe it is. All right, here we go. Nigella sativa against the influenza virus. Influenza viruses belong to the family. This family can be subgrouped into A, B, and C. You've already seen that referenced here. There's influenza A and B. There's also A, B, and C. Viruses, families. Several studies tested the effect of Nigella sativa, black cumin seed oil on subtypes H9N2 and H5N2 against avian influenza viruses, bird flus, subtypes, and found active inhibition of the virus's ability to replicate. Nigella sativa blocks the ability of bird flu viruses from replicating. It enhanced the immune response and suppression of viral pathogenicity in poultry. I've already gone through this multiple times on my bird flu. There's a podcast I did called Why Dr. Ardis is Scared of the Bird Flu, and I dive into all of this. They actually added black cumin seed oil that's in our biodefense to flu vaccines, and that was the only time the bird flu vaccines worked to save the lives of birds. The flu vaccines alone without black cumin seed oil, called Nigella sativa oil, without the oil from the plant, the flu vaccines failed. 100% of the birds, they all died, millions of them. But when they added black cumin seed oil, it worked, even when the rest of the components and ingredients sucked. This study suggested that clinical signs in H9N2 infected birds showed improvement upon dietary supplementation with Nigella sativa oil seeds. The study also reported a decline in clinical symptoms upon supplementation with 3% Nigella sativa oil seed oil. The antibody titer was also increased against these bird flus, thereby improving immune response and suppressing the viral pathogenicity in the treated turkeys when compared to 1% dietary supplements. Bird flu, influenza, these are flu viruses. Subsequent studies confirmed this dose-dependent effect. The more Nigella sativa you took, the more the immune system was able to defend against bird flus. As you took more, there was a higher antibody count was observed with the 6% Nigella sativa dietary supplement compared with 1% Nigella sativa and 3% supplementation. These findings suggested that turkeys fed with Nigella sativa oil exhibited higher levels of cytokine gene expression, leading to increased antiviral behavior and suppressed the disease processes of these bird flu viruses. Avian influenza virus subtype H5N1, which is the most common one you're hearing called the bird flu right now, has previously been reported to be treated with Nigella sativa extract. Ethanol extract of Nigella sativa oil showed moderate dose-dependent antiviral activity and prevented the replication of the bird flu. Did you know the CDC already bought 3 million doses of bird flu vaccines? Why didn't they just get Nigella sativa oil, black cumin seed oil? Somebody tell the CDC to make sure they get our biodefense and offer it to all citizens around the world as an alternative to the flu vaccines and bird flu vaccines. Another study found that Nigella sativa oil, when used as a vaccine adjuvant added to the bird flu vaccines, can inhibit a non-specific immune stimulating effect and induce cellular immune response that restricts the replication of H5N1 in the body of these animals. And if it happens in them, it'll help you. You have the same antibodies they had. In their conclusion, influenza viruses with Nigella sativa oil. The use of natural extracts and derivatives in disease prevention and cure has been on the increase globally due to their high tolerance and low side effects. Plants don't have these side effects as the drugs I just showed you. Nigella sativa is a well-known plant used in folk medicine for many decades now. It's considered a miracle herb due to its effectiveness in managing several disease conditions. I love that this is a medical research study where they're claiming it is a miracle herb. Yeah, it is. It's considered a miracle herb. This review focused on reviewing most of the published studies on the antiviral effects of Nigella sativa, especially those that demonstrated the antiviral activity of Nigella sativa and its compounds against the different plant, animal, and human viruses. Ask your doctor if Nigella sativa oil and biodefense at the Dr. Ardis Show are right for you, because it is. Black cumin seed oil. Now let's go to vitamin A. Vitamin A corrects tissue deficits in diet-induced obese mice and reduces influenza infection even after vaccination. They vaccinated them for the flu. They only got better faster after vitamin A was given to them. So let's read the top. This is vitamin A supplements correct the deficits in the lung and liver and adipose fat tissue in animals with obesity. To test the corrective potential of vitamin A supplements, we administered 600 international units of vitamin A, or PBS, orally to obese and control mice on day 0, day 3, day 7, 21, 24, and 28. Vitamin A levels measured in the form of retinol were evaluated on day 35. We observed elevated levels of vitamin A in the blood and reduced levels in the tissues of obese mice compared to lean animals. Vitamin A supplementation significantly improved vitamin A levels in the lungs and fat tissues, but not in the blood or liver of obese mice. Importantly, vitamin A levels in the lungs of supplemented mice were closely matched to those of lean controls. So even though they had these fat mice take vitamin A supplementation on all these given days, the vitamin A still got into the lungs at the same level as the lean, healthier mice, but it didn't get into the blood of the obese like it did into the lean, healthier animals. But it did get into the lungs at the same level as the lean, healthier mice. This is important because influenza is a lung infection, supposedly. Supportive of our previous findings with non-obese mice, so lean mice, we found that vitamin A supplementation associated with higher amounts of white blood cells called CD4, CD8, and T cell percentages among CD4-5 cells in the respiratory tract. If you take vitamin A, you get increased immune cells showing up in the lungs to beat respiratory infections like the flu and pneumonia. This next section of the research study is titled Vitamin A Supplements Improve Virus Control in Vaccinated Mice Following Challenge. So they give them the flu, then they inject them with the vaccine, and then we'll see what happens. Then they're going to give some of them vitamin A afterwards. Mice were vaccinated via a prime boost regimen with an inactivated, killed influenza virus, and vitamin A, or PBS, was administered orally on day 0, 3, and 7 post-vaccination. That's just a placebo. The PBS. 2 weeks post-boost serum, so 2 weeks after being vaccinated for the flu, they evaluated for virus-specific antibodies. Overall, obese mice demonstrated a poor antibody response to vaccination compared to control mice. Only when the vaccine was co-delivered with vitamin A were specific influenza antibodies responding significantly above the background levels before the study started. When they gave the flu vaccine, it did not produce antibodies in these obese mice until they gave flu vaccine with vitamin A in it. Supplementation also increased IgG antibodies, IgM ratios, indicating enhanced antibody class switching. So the body would actually regulate which antibodies to make against the flu if they had vitamin A present. If it wasn't, you would get random antibodies made that didn't even respond to flu viruses, which is why the flu vaccines are not effective. Lifelong historical data of all vaccines given to all Americans for the entire lifetime of the vaccine agenda, flu vaccines have a whopping 4% efficacy rate at preventing the flu. That means 96% of all flu shots suck. 96% of them all failed. They all flopped. Yet all of you are getting flu shots, and 96% of them failed and did nothing for you. Historically, only a 4% efficacy rate for all flu vaccines. Ask your doctor if 4% is a high rate, if that's a high percentage. Ask him if 4% is a lot and justifies giving every 6-month-old born in America the flu vaccine and every 60-year-old every year till they die a flu vaccine. Does 4% really warrant doing that to 100% of all Americans so they can go to school, go to work? Ask your doctor if he thinks the flu vaccine agenda is asinine as Dr. Ardis thinks it is. 2 weeks after the second dose of the vaccines for the flu, animals were challenged with a non-lethal dose of influenza virus. So they gave them the flu, gave them the vaccine, then they injected 2 weeks later the flu. Not a killed version, the actual live version. There was transient, mild weight loss after the infection that they state was even more pronounced, the weight loss after giving vitamin A treated versus the placebo. So when they took vitamin A, they did see more weight loss during the flu, just so you know. But then vaccination alone provided some protection against the infection. Importantly, on day 3, post-infection vaccinated mice that received vitamin A exhibit a profound reduction in viral lung titers, so less infection compared to the vaccinated, unsupplemented animals. So even if you get a flu vaccine or you're still convinced that 4% effectiveness rates of all flu vaccines historically is right for you, make sure you add vitamin A supplementation to it. Isn't this great? Vitamin A, in their conclusion, is a pleiotropic in function, multiple facets, and influences virtually every mammal's cells, and you are a mammal, including cells involved in adaptive and innate immune responses. We show in this study that vitamin A supplements provide benefit to individuals with obesity. Notice they're not saying mice, they're saying humans. Vitamin A supplements provide benefit to individuals with obesity by correcting tissue vitamin A deficits, altering lung immune cell composition, improving vaccine responses, and assisting in respiratory virus clearance. If you want to get it out of your body, vitamin A will help you. You don't need the vaccine, by the way. But if you get the vaccines, you need to take vitamin A with it. Our demonstration that vitamin A supplements provide protection against a respiratory virus infection may inform healthcare recommendations for preventative measures against severe diseases from respiratory viral infection in individuals with obesity and those without obesity. It doesn't matter if you're obese. They're just telling you. In this study, they were looking at obese mice, which represents obese humans. They all have the same genes, mice and humans. And they wanted to know, if I give vitamin A to obese, does it get into the blood at the same level as lean, healthier models of animals? And it didn't. But in obese people, at least the vitamin A made it into the lungs to protect those obese from respiratory illnesses and having worse outcomes. That's vitamin A. So now we've talked about Nigella sativa oil and its ability to prevent influenza viruses in humans and animals, including bird flu viruses. Now we're going to get into vitamin C. And vitamin A we just covered. The effectiveness of vitamin C in preventing and relieving the symptoms of virus-induced respiratory infections, which is the flu, pneumonia, you name it. All right, the treatment was in nearly every group, 1 or more students required from half a day to 3 days bed rest to recuperate from the flu. So on average, in every group of people that had the flu in this experiment, they had from a half a day to 3 days, they had bed rest. Treatment consisted of administering pain relievers and decongestants. In a few cases, symptoms were severe enough to require skilled medical intervention. Anyone reporting flu symptoms was treated with 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every hour for 6 hours, repeating that treatment for up to 3 days as necessary, followed by 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day for the remainder of the training period. Students receiving the 1,000 milligrams, which is 1 gram of vitamin C every hour of treatment, were required to report on their symptoms at the end of each 6-hour period. All students not reporting initial symptoms were given 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C 3 times a day. The figure for day 6 represents only 2 individuals, and that for day 8 represents only 1 individual. This is important. Not a single student in the test group who got 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C 6 times in 6 hours. It was 1,000 milligrams every hour for 6 hours every day. Not a single student in the test group reported flu symptoms during the last 2 days, compared with 27 on the last 2 days in the control group who did not get vitamin C. Furthermore, and of major significance, during the entire period, January to September of 1991, reported symptoms were sufficiently mild that not one student lost any class time because of respiratory infection. Those in the test group. So if you want to reduce how long you are sick with flu symptoms, could you imagine? You know how it sucks to be sick with the flu? Imagine if you could shorten that time frame by 2 days. If you've had the flu before and it lasted 7 to 14 days, imagine if you now did it and it only lasted 5 days, 3 days, 2 days shorter. That's what they found in the test group overall. Of 47 subjects reporting flu symptoms on entering the training facility, 23 of them experienced relief of symptoms with 1 6-hour treatment of vitamin C. Only 1 6-hour treatment. They got 1,000 milligrams for 6 hours straight. Then all of their symptoms were cured. That is 23 out of 47. That's almost half of all of them. Totally symptom free in 6 hours. Day 1. And that ain't all. 19 with 2 6-hour periods and 5 with 3 such treatments. Okay, do the math there. They're telling you that there were 47 people with the flu who got 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every hour for 6 hours straight every day. Half of them, 23 of them, all of their flu symptoms were over on the first day. Another 19 of the 47, so add that, 19 plus 23, that's 42 out of 47, were completely devoid of all flu symptoms gone by day 2. And then there was another 5, oh my goodness, that's 47 total, that had all their symptoms gone by day 3. Assuming that prior infections did not endure more than 3 days after beginning the training program, the relative effectiveness of vitamin C in preventing the onset of influenza could be quantified by dividing the normalized reported incidence of days 4 through 10 in the test group by that in the control group, which shows a remarkable reduction of infection in the test group, those getting vitamin C, of more than 85%. Taking vitamin C prevented 85% of those people getting the flu at all. On the basis of reported subjective symptomatic relief and also on the lack of reported new symptoms of cold and flu between the control groups and the test group, this study shows that the mega dose of vitamin C therapy can help prevent as well as therapeutically treat the symptoms of cold and flu. Ask your doctor if 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every hour for 6 hours every day is right for you, because it is. Unless you want to be sicker longer, or get the Tamiflu, Relenza, or the flu vaccine, which is published to give you flu symptoms or death, paralysis for the flu vaccine. Vitamin C. Oh my God, I love vitamin C. All right. Vitamin C reduces the severity of common colds. This is a meta-analysis. Now, common colds are not the flu, but common colds and the flu virus are the same period of every year. Randomized trials have shown that vitamin C shortens the duration of common colds. What? How many Pediatricians and medical doctors are recommending vitamin C with the cold and flu season. How many times have you heard a medical doctor tell you during common cold season, flu season, if you get sick, take vitamin C? Look at this. Randomized trials have shown that vitamin C shortens the duration of common colds. Why aren't your medical doctors knowing this? This is medical research studies, randomized, peer-reviewed, published clinical trials. I guess they don't read. But the ones that do know, maybe they're just watching the Dr. Ardis show. Some trials reported greater effects on severe cold symptoms compared with mild symptoms. The worse you are, the better they get with vitamin C. Wow. We included all placebo-controlled trials of orally administered vitamin C. You swallowed it in doses at least 1 gram a day, 1,000 milligrams for the common cold for people in good health at baseline. The results were this. 15 comparisons from 10 trials, which reported both mild and severe symptoms, were identified. So they're going to look at 10 trials. All trials were randomized and double-blind for all of you out there wondering if this is chiropractic conspiracy, tinfoil hat stuff. All trials were randomized and double-blind. Compared to placebo, vitamin C significantly decreased the severity of the common cold by 15%. The effect of vitamin C on mild and severe symptoms was limited to 5 comparisons, which found that vitamin C had a significant benefit on how long you had severe symptoms for. In this subset, there was a significant difference in the size of the effect of vitamin C on the overall duration of colds versus the duration of severe colds. Their conclusions they determined. The common cold is the leading cause of acute disease and major cause of absenteeism from work and school. The finding that vitamin C may have a greater effect on more severe measures of the common cold is therefore important. Ask your doctor if vitamin C is right for you. 1,000 milligrams every day. If you got the flu, make sure it's 1,000 milligrams every 6 hours. Every hour for 6 hours for multiple days, and you will see your flu dissolve in days. Now let's go to zinc. So now we've talked about Nigella sativa, black cumin seed oil, vitamin A, vitamin C. Now we're talking about a mineral, zinc. And a lot of you learned about zinc during COVID for that supposed bat virus. Zinc and respiratory viral infections, an important trace element in antiviral response and immune regulation. Let's take a look at what they know about zinc. When it comes to flu viruses, hemagglutinin A, HA, and neuraminidase, NA, are important glycoproteins. Glycoproteins are spike proteins. Influenza viruses are divided into different subtypes based on hemagglutinin A and neuraminidase. H1N1 and H3N2 are among the most important of these subtypes in influenza A and are considered as the main causes of seasonal flu. The findings of an interesting study showed that zinc oxide, the same stuff they put in sunscreen, nanoparticles have an antiviral effect only after a viral infection of the cells, which finally leads to a decrease in viral titer. So even after you're infected with the virus, zinc is the most effective. Zinc appears able to inhibit influenza viruses' RNA polymerase activity, so the replication process. A recent study showed that zinc finger protein, abbreviated SFP36L1, has antiviral properties and can enhance host antiviral defenses against influenza A virus by attenuating or stopping the production of viral proteins, including hemagglutinin A, M, and NS. In the previous section, we discussed the importance of this zinc finger antiviral protein found in zinc. One study showed that the short isoform of this protein could inhibit the expression of influenza viral proteins, including PA, PB2, and NA, which they discussed above. Superoxide dismutase is a crucial zinc-dependent antioxidant enzyme. It appears that this enzyme can significantly attenuate or block viral activity and has antiviral properties against H1N1 influenza avian virus, which is a flu virus. One study showed that influenza avian viral infected mice had increased viral burden, cytokine production, and mortality, indicating an important role for the zinc-dependent protein in antiviral defense and immune regulation following influenza avian viral infection. Zinc's important. All the results summarized above indicate the importance of zinc in the defense against influenza infection. That's what the research says, not just Dr. Ardis. These findings partly justify the results of clinical studies regarding the usefulness of zinc in the prevention and treatment of influenza infection. Now, when we went to the CDC, I told you strategies and showed you their strategies for beating the flu every year. It did not include vitamin A. They didn't mention vitamin C. They didn't mention zinc, and they definitely didn't mention Nigella sativa oil. Is that shocking to you? The only thing they told you were like 10 bullet points of why it is you need a flu vaccine. That's the only recommendation you gave you. As mentioned in previous sections, zinc has many essential roles in the immune system, including regulation of proliferation, the spreading of the infection in your body, differentiation and maturation of immune cells. Zinc is involved in the regulation of white blood cells, activities, and modulating or improving inflammatory responses. It seems that zinc deficiency, which is defined as insufficient zinc for body needs, results in a lowered immune system. It seems that blood zinc level in children with RSV pneumonia is significantly low. So all kids with RSV, which is another lung infection, they take their blood work, they find a very common thread. They're all deficient in zinc. Zinc treatment enhances interferon production of white blood cells called leukocytes. Interferon A, an immune stimulatory cytokine, has antiviral activity, increasing the expression of antiviral genes that are correlated with the degradation of viral RNA particles, as well as inhibition of viral RNA translation, is proposed to be stimulated by zinc. The studies also reported that the intake of at least 75 milligrams of zinc per day could decrease the duration of pneumonia symptoms. Well, what else are you told every year? Senior citizens, you're told every year you need pneumonia shots. Well, what did you just learn here? You need to make sure you're taking zinc. We have Zinc Plus at the Dr. Ardis Show. Ask your doctor if zinc is right for you. Now read this section. Zinc and vaccination against respiratory syncytial virus. Can it be helpful? Some studies have examined the efficacy of zinc in enhancing the effectiveness of respiratory virus vaccines. I thought the vaccines were enough. A study in pigs showed that zinc oxide might help boost humoral immune responses following vaccination against swine influenza viruses. Why don't you just use zinc? Why do you need the vaccine at all? In this study, it was revealed that high doses of zinc, 2,500 parts per million, in combination with the vaccine could significantly increase hemagglutination inhibition following influenza infection. Ask your doctor if zinc is right for you for every virus on earth, because it is. Another study of 9 to 18-year-old heart disease patients found that supplementing with zinc along with the influenza vaccine could reduce the incidence of malaise, which was in 30% of all people that get the vaccine, a common adverse effect of the influenza vaccine. Besides, this study showed that zinc supplementation along with the influenza vaccine could significantly reduce blood levels of tumor necrotic factor A in these children. Ask your doctor if zinc is right for you every day, the rest of your life, because it is. Now let's get to N-acetylcysteine, one of my favorite nutrients on earth. During COVID, we made sure that all of you knew that N-acetylcysteine could help prevent the blood clotting effects of COVID, the vaccines, you name it. It's also published to block the blood clotting effects of snake venoms, ironically, which is the definition of the word virus. In biochemical pharmacology, this is 2011, N-acetylcysteine inhibits mucin synthesis and pro-inflammatory mediators in the lung cells infected with the influenza virus A and B, with respiratory syncytial virus, RSV. So RSV, influenza A and B, NAC reduces pro-inflammatory cells in your lung cells from those infections. For the intracellular hydrogen peroxide studies, they can induce lung damage with hydrogen peroxide, a high dose into these animals. They grew these cells after they were exposed to hydrogen peroxide. Then they were infecting them with RSV, influenza A, or influenza B in the presence or absence of N-acetylcysteine. 48 hours later, the cells were lysed and hydrogen peroxide was used and added. As an effective infection, the intracellular level of hydrogen peroxide significantly increased. In the 3 experimental groups, pre-treatment with N-acetylcysteine totally abolished the increase in the acidic hydrogen peroxide production. N-acetylcysteine. They use hydrogen peroxide as an inflammatory reaction, representing what the viruses would have done in the human body of these cells. And N-acetylcysteine abolished that effect. Effects of viral infection of MUC5AC expression. These are cell lines. COPD exacerbations are characterized by different symptoms, including mucus hypersecretion. To investigate the effects of viral infections in our model, cells were infected with the influenza virus A, B, or respiratory syncytial virus, RSV. We used 3 different doses of N-acetylcysteine to analyze if the effects observed were dose dependent. Would these help reduce the mucus being produced in the lungs? You guys know people with pneumonia, the flu, RSV. When you're coughing up mucus, it's really heavy. Pneumonia, it's hard to get the mucus out. N-acetylcysteine, I'm about to show you, helps clear the mucus. It's proven to do that. N-acetylcysteine significantly reduces the mucus expression in these infected cells in a dose-dependent manner. The more N-acetylcysteine that was given, the less mucus was being produced from those cells being infected with RSV, influenza A and B, respectively. What about NAC's effectiveness in viral infection on interleukin release? These are cytokines in the cells that create inflammation and water retention in your lungs. The inhibitory effects of N-acetylcysteine on the release of tumor necrotic factor alpha, interleukin 6, interleukin 8 were studied. 48 hours after the cells were infected with the influenza viruses, culture supernatants were collected and analyzed. What did they find out? N-acetylcysteine pre-treatment almost abolished induction of tumor necrotic factor alpha after virus infection with RSV and influenza A. In the influenza B infected cells, the inhibition was lower, but significant compared to mock-treated or control cells. In the case of interleukin 6, N-acetylcysteine pretreatment totally abolished the protein release in RSV infected cells and almost totally in the influenza A and B cultures. You want to reduce inflammation in your body from the flu virus, A and B, and RSV every year? N-acetylcysteine does it. Effect on NAC on viral replication. You know, when you get infections, you get joint pain. That's the cytokine storm. Lung inflammation, mucus. That's what we just showed. Now we're going to get into the viruses replicating in your body. To evaluate the effects of N-acetylcysteine on viral replication, cells were grown and after were infected with influenza A, B, and RSV. N-acetylcysteine at 10 micromoles compared to the mock viral controls significantly reduced the viral replication. 10%, 12%, and 30% based on how much they gave to the RSV, influenza, and influenza B, respectively. 30% reduction in replication of influenza B virus, 12% reduction in influenza A replication, and 10% less RSV viral particles replicating in the lungs. In summary, 64% of COPD exacerbations are associated with respiratory viral infections, including RSV and the flu. N-acetylcysteine is a glutathione precursor that reduces symptoms and exacerbations in COPD patients. The results of the study indicate that N-acetylcysteine inhibits the mucus production, the inflammatory reactions that follows viral infections through mechanisms involving oxidative stress generation and subsequent NF-kappa beta and P38 MABK activation, which is just inflammatory immune measurements. This is our black cumin seed oil. These are the natural solutions to the flu. You'll see Nigella sativa is the second ingredient inside of our product. It's actually labeled number 1, but by dose, actually, the piperine is actually the highest. So ask your doctor if biodefense is right for you. And dosing and directions are on the bottle. This is our breathe-free product for lung infections like the flu. Notice we have vitamin C and vitamin A in there as our top 2 ingredients. So when you have trouble breathing or confronted with respiratory illness or want to prevent it in this influenza common cold season, please take Breathe Free every day. It's got both vitamin A and vitamin C in it. Doc's Viral Defense has N-acetylcysteine and zinc in it, which we just walked you through. So there is our Doc's Viral Defense. Doc's Viral Defense, Breathe Free, black cumin seed oil, and our Biodefense. Those are 3 incredible natural antidotes, as I just showed you, from very reputable, peer-reviewed, published medical research studies. These are effective antidotes to the flu virus. Every day, every year. You've even seen the doses now from the studies. Remember, you can scan the QR code. If you want to download the PowerPoint, you can do that. And also don't forget our book, Moving Beyond the COVID-19 Lies. This was also told us was a respiratory virus. And if anybody you know is struggling with long COVID symptoms, of which there are 200 published now, all the antidotes published in medical peer-reviewed research studies all around the world are completely included in that book. You do not need to suffer needlessly from these long-term side effects of this infection. All right, I am Dr. Brian Ardis. This is the Natural Solutions to the Flu. This is December 2025, but this information will not change for decades. Your body does not evolve and change. It has been designed by God perfectly. And if you'll just put into it the nutrients that God put on this earth in the form of plants, minerals, air, water, sun, you name it. And don't forget our vitamin D3, K2. I did not even dive into that here, but vitamin D3 in these seasons in the Northern Hemisphere, it is one of the number one reasons why it is anybody develops cold and flu season symptoms. Vitamin D3, K2, it's available at the Dr. Ardis Show to keep your vitamin D3 levels up. I'm Dr. Ardis. God bless you. We'll see you next week on the Dr. Ardis Show. Thanks for watching this week's episode. Visit thedrardisshow.com/follow for my official social media channels and free healing resources. Beware of fraud accounts. Neither I nor my company will ever ask you for money, crypto, or personal information through your social media or DMs. Like this video and share with a friend. And if you're not already, subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates from me, the only real Dr. Bryan Ardis. And remember, nature always wins.
Disclaimer. Please note, the following presentation is solely for informational purposes and should not be seen as a replacement for advice provided by your physician. It is important not to rely on the information from this presentation for diagnosis, treatment, medication prescription, or any other form of medical care. Always consult with your physician or healthcare professionals before taking any medication, nutritional supplement, herbal remedy, homeopathic treatment, or pursuing any health-related procedure. If you have a medical condition or believe you might have one, promptly contact your healthcare provider. Do not disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it based on this presentation's information as the products or services purchased from it do not establish a doctor-patient relationship between you and any affiliated physicians. Statements about dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.